So, hello and welcome to part two of the mid-season driver ratings. So, we've already done part one and we have covered the seven drivers from the bottom of the standings. So, what we will do now is start from the man who's 13th in the championship, Kevin Magnussen, another man who hasn't been impressive, hasn't been dull, but hasn't been impressive, and his future is in doubt as well. So, Ben, K-Mag, good enough for you?
It's bit, um, fine is the word. Like,
Exactly.
just fine. Like, you can't say, oh, he's had a brilliant start to the season. Maybe, with the car he's had, it's a little bit harsh to say he's had a poor one. It's just fine. And if maybe because Haas, I'm sure, are going to want to change one of their drivers. I think Roman's in trouble. Maybe that will be enough for them. Maybe they won't want to. Maybe they might want a bit of stability, and Magnussen could well be that man. But had his traditional opening season good race. He loves the first race of the season. He loves giving people false hope. Coming to he loves Australia. Came into F1 with that podium, didn't he, for McLaren, and sixth place this year for Haas. One of only 3 point scoring finishes. So yeah, I mean, you kind of be keen to point this out, and you've been absolutely right to that. You can never judge a driver independently of his car, and a lot of the time a car can make a driver seem worse than he is. And I think Magnus in that case. I mean, I don't know if you think this is me mixing it up and being harsh, but I'm gonna give him a 6.
No, I mean, yeah, and in fact, you can like, I think the tables have turned since part one. So I'm going to give him a 5.5 out of 10 because he hasn't been the average 5. He hasn't been Giovinazzi, but he hasn't been, say, like Albon. So yeah, he's kind of in the middle. He's not been dead average, but he hasn't been, out of the world excellent as well. So yeah, 5.5 is, I think, fair for him. And yeah, I would blame the car as well because the car has been terrible, and he deserves a lot of credit for the way he has driven because he has more than double the points his teammate has got. So yeah, he's the better driver this season without a doubt. So yeah, I think both of us have been fair in rating Magnussen.
Yep. So then that brings on to Lance Stroll then. 12th place in the standings. One of those quite a few drivers, I would say, that's had their standings kind of skewed by Germany. 4th place, briefly led the race, very briefly, but it still happened. Still happened.
Yeah.
And that was kind of valid lead as well. Everyone had pitted. It wasn't like he was about to pit. He had genuinely got the race lead.
Yeah.
But obviously faded to 4th. But yeah, so 12th place, ahead of his teammate, importantly, and in 18 points. So what are you saying on Stroll?
I feel he has managed to silence some of his haters because he has a lot of them, some of them who make no sense. And I feel he has silenced at least some of them. Not all of them will be quiet, but he has managed to, show that yes, if given the car and if the circumstances are with him, he can be fast. But what I feel he's really lacking and really needs to work on is his Saturdays. And the way he goes about his race on a Sunday, I feel if he has an excellent Saturday, he'll be a much better driver as a whole. So yeah, for the season that he's had, I mean, I don't really want to include Germany when I consider his entire season, but since I have to, I'll give him a 6.
Yeah, yeah, you're absolutely right. And I remember saying this during some of the races podcast that we've done. Often we look at him and say, look how many positions he gained in the race. But the problem is, he may have gained 5 positions, but because he's always coming from 18th, he's gone from 18th to 13th, and it's never really been a factor in the points. And that is a massive, massive problem. He probably is the worst qualifier on the grid. I'd take out probably. He is the worst qualifier on the grid, which is a big, big problem. And yeah, Germany has kind of kept point of the standings. Lance Stroll is that kind of driver where over the course of the season he will accumulate points, but they will come from individual standout races where he'll score big. You know, like when he picked up his podium, races like that. You know, he'll have a long period of nothing races. He's nowhere, middle of the back. You know, don't really ever see him. But then every once or twice in the season, he'll have a big race and bring a big haul of points, and that can be just as effective as picking up the 10ths and 9ths all season. Just too big.
Yeah.
The way the point scoring, that can kind of put you. And that, I think that's why he's ahead of Perez. I mean, can I say he's had a better season than Perez? No, because on the whole, I don't think he has, and I think I'm going to have to kind of put Germany to one side and say fair play. That was a good strategy call, but one race I don't think can define a season, and I'm still going to give Lance a 5 because I mean the qualifying really does drag him down.
Yeah, exactly, and I have to kind of agree with you what you're saying. So that was Lance Stroll, who just one last thing to discuss about Lance Stroll. Has he been better or worse compared to your expectations at the beginning of the season?
To be fair, he's been better. He really has. I thought he'd struggle because I thought I wasn't sure that if it was for him. You know, the pace Force India / Racing Point had last season, so I can't see Stroll, you know, doing that consistently because I really didn't rate him that much as the driver, but pleasantly surprised me with his racecraft. We have to point out because obviously qualifying is a big part of it, but in the races he has pleasantly surprised me. I've got to say.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that is what I mentioned at the start when we started talking about Lance Stroll, is that he has been able to silence some people. So yeah, that's all about Lance Stroll. I'm not going to say anything more because we have Daniel Ricciardo next. So yeah, 22 points, 11th in the championship. Just being a Renault driver, I think that has made the big difference to his season. And what do you think about Daniel Ricciardo's season so far? Because you have to equate him with Hülkenberg, and he has been the better driver, but he hasn't been the better driver by a mile.
No, it's been, it's kind of similar to the Nico Hülkenberg chat, isn't it? We kind of expected more, but can understand why we've not got it. I think he had a very dodgy start at Renault. That Australia, very unusual DNF. That was just bizarre. His race start. Obviously retired in Bahrain. You know, I think he's got better. He has improved. But yeah, the kind of the car is really holding him back, and I'm sure in himself he'll be a bit disappointed as well. It's a tough one to be honest. I might have to dip into the 0.5s at this point because I'm really struggling to fall either way. I might have to go 5. I might have to go 5.5 for Ricciardo.
All right. That's I think fair enough. So I'll give him a 6 because he has been good, but he hasn't really caught the eye as much as he has during his career so far. But yeah, that's because of the car again. But yeah, he's been better than his teammate, but that is kind of expected from a race winner. But yeah, nothing really spectacular again.
Yeah, it's not been the highs though, has it? Because we certainly expected him to be, with Renault's trajectory, we expected him to be kind of leading home best of the rest comfortably.
Yeah, exactly.
And potentially going up, but yeah, it's just not happened.
No, it's not happened, and it's been terrible at times because that car has had, in some of the races, has had no pace whatsoever. So you had Ricciardo running in 18th place, competing with Lance Stroll for the 17th place. That is not what we expect from Ricciardo, do we?
Exactly, and the one thing you hate to see as well is wasted talent. And we know Daniel going to Renault is the long game. He's playing for 2021, but you know, if that doesn't work out, then I feel so sorry for him. He's a driver who kind of deserves better, and he really is one of the top drivers in the grid. So I do hope 2021 works out for him and he's 30 now. He's not getting any younger. It would be a real shame if he never got the chance at championship his talent deserves.
Yeah. I would agree with you. So going from supposedly wasted talent to the talent. And according to many, the newcomer of the season so far, Lando Norris, 10th in the championship, 24 points on the board. Even though his teammate has more than double the points that he has got, I think we have discussed in the past that the championship table doesn't do him justice. Yeah, he has been a bright spot, and I would probably give him a 7.5 for the season that he's had so far.
Yeah, as you say, summarised it very well there. Norris has been very unlucky in a lot of races. A mixture of the car letting him down, where it's not let down his teammate, particularly has been a problem for him. And he's had some good qualifyings as well. Had really strong qualifyings at times as well. Yeah, I think Norris had a great debut. I like 7.5. I really do, and I hope the second half of the season kind of brings more of what he deserves. And he definitely deserves. You know, the table would tell me there's a big difference between him and Carlos Sainz, but it's not true. Not really. It's really not. And you know, he's great for F1 as well. He's kind of made a big impression, hasn't he? He's kind of one of the drivers that's really popular on Twitter and who's always really funny and always one of the go-to people to interview because you know you get a good quote out of him and get a good meme out of him at times. And he's kind of a bit of a breath of fresh air in that whole Carlos Sainz partnership. It's great for the team, and it's been really good to see him in F1. So 7.5, and hopefully these reliability issues can let him have a better crack in the second half of the season.
Yeah, exactly. I almost thought that you were about to say he's gonna have a better crash. So, no, he doesn't need it anymore. He's had enough. Yeah, of the crashes. So that brings us to the only man in the midfield who's got a podium to his name this season, albeit a bit crazy. But Daniel Kvyat, the man who has made his comeback, the man who we did not have much expectations coming into the season, if I'll be honest. But did he change our minds. Ben?
Yes, exactly. And again, like Albon, I don't think much respected of him, and I think the one thing when we talk about Kvyat, we've always got to remember is the absolute pressure he must be under. You know, he's fought his F1's career over once. He's been given a second chance back at Toro Rosso, and so he's always driving with that pressure. He's kind of driving to prove himself, which no one else on the grid kind of really is. But he seems to have put that behind him. He had a great season, to be fair. Some really strong race finishes as well. Good battles with Albon. That podium was, you know, it was just brilliant. 1, 2, 3, 6 point scoring finishes this season with the podium. Yeah, it's been brilliant. You know, I'm not going to get into the whole why Red Bull didn't pick him debate, but you know, there was a lot of people that thought his performances did merit that, and
I was one of them.
If it wasn't for all of the other stuff, performance-wise, he probably is good enough to do the step back up. So you know, he is a bit unlucky that way, but I'd say 8 out of 10 for Danny this season. He's been very impressive, and but the battle for Danny now though is how does he go from here? Because I'm sure in his mind he would have been driving to get that Red Bull seat back. Now he will feel like I don't think there's any more I could have done to get that seat. Like he'll be thinking, well, they've gone for Albon. I've outraced Albon. I've outqualified Albon. I've got a podium. That is a massive slap in the face from Helmut Marko to say we do not want you back in this top team. So how he kind of deals with that rejection from Red Bull is going to be quite key. So I'm going to be really interested to see how he goes for the end of the season.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel, first of all, I would rate him an 8 as well. So it's good that we agreed on that. Because, even when you have 11 finishes in a race, 13 technically for Germany, but then you realistically had 11 people who were competing for 10 point scoring finishes, 10 point scoring places. So when you have 2 out of the top 6 remaining in the race, and there is only one podium spot which will be taken by the guy who's best of the rest in that one race, he managed to get the best of the rest. So yeah, I think that deserves credit because that podium did not come out of the blue. He had to
Right.
actually place the car and take advantage of the situation to make that happen. And of course, he was pretty impressive in that race in Germany. I mean, for a long time he was competing with Max Verstappen for the fastest lap. So yeah, that was something. And right from the first race, I feel he was looking a different man. He was looking racy. And if you've had a look at the top overtakes of the season so far video by the Formula One channel, you'll notice that Daniel Kvyat features a lot in that video.
It does, and there's a few that comes to my mind that didn't make the list either. The whole battle with Albon didn't
Yeah,
make it, so yeah, definitely, I'd take your point on that.
yeah, exactly. So yeah, Kvyat has been impressive, and I just wish he gets more than what he's got right now because he deserves more. So that brings us to probably the most consistent driver in the grid. I would go out on a limb to say that because it's Kimi Raikkonen. His first season with Formula One, first time in a long time in a midfield car for him, and he's looked solid. You don't see him during the races much, but he's always there.
Yeah.
So for the season that he's had, and for the way that he has literally just put Giovinazzi's career in danger, literally, I would say this man alone, he with his performances alone, he has managed to put a guy's career in danger. So yeah, I'd give him an 8, a solid 8 for the season that he's had so far.
I think a step into the midfield has really re-energized him, and he looks a different man to the man at Ferrari.
Yeah.
Not that he ever looked happy, but he does. In his weird way, he seems happier in the Kimi way. I don't know. I go 9. I really would. I think that Alpha, Kimi Raikkonen is deceiving you into thinking that Alpha is quicker than it is.
Yeah.
I don't think that Alpha is one of the top midfield cars by any stretch. But Raikkonen, I mean, if you look at the championship, he's ahead of both Renaults. He's ahead of Lando Norris. He's ahead of Kvyat. I feel like, yeah, that Alpha really isn't one of the better midfield cars. But Kimi Raikkonen has consistently put it on the points more. He's finished in the points more often than not by considerable distance as well. He's only finished outside the points 4 times this season.
One out of them was Germany.
Yeah,
Out of the 4, yeah.
One of them, the Germany. Yeah, Germany's just so key, isn't it? Germany is the kind of a stick you can beat most drivers on the grid with, apart from the odd few. But yeah, more often, I say only 4 times missed out on points, and in that car, and at his age when we all thought he was going to step away from F1, and that was the done thing. I think everybody was really surprised when he turned out he signed a contract with Alpha.
Yeah.
But he's kind of justified that, and he could go on for a few more years driving like this, and it's had a brilliant season, I'd say.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, Kimi Raikkonen has been really impressive, but there has been one man who has been more impressive than Kimi Raikkonen this season, Carlos Sainz, the guy who is almost at the shoulder of Pierre Gasly right now. 58 points from the season so far, comfortably best of the rest. Like he almost has double the points that Raikkonen has, and Raikkonen is just behind him in the championship. And he has been incredibly consistent. I mean, I don't really have words for the performances that Sainz has been able to put in. And considering the fact that his rookie teammate, Lando Norris has been so impressive, just so impressive. And yet Carlos Sainz has more than double the points of that guy who has been impressive. That takes some getting. And if I am being honest, I would give him a 9, if not higher.
Yeah, exactly. If you look at him, he's got 58 points, and what you got to remember is he had a difficult start to the season, didn't score in his first 3 races, retired from Australia, and then he got taken out in Bahrain. Not that I'm saying it's Verstappen's fault, but there was a collision which wasn't technically Sainz's fault either. So that's the first 2 races out of the way. And then you say didn't score in China, so it's kind of the run from then on has been fantastic. Consistently best of the rest, breaking the top 6 and the top 5 every time it's possible. Every time the top 6 have made a mistake, not been there, Sainz has been there to step on that,
capitalise and beaten Pierre Gasly on a number of occasions. And there is very little doubt now that he will finish ahead of Gasly. But even if Gasly had said in that Red Bull, the way that their form were going, I'm sure Carlos Sainz, you probably would have backed him to overtake him anyway. He's got the gap down to 5, and when it's the midfield kind of Formula 1.5 for the midfield, it's really, really, really unbelievable. I'd give him a 9.5. I really would. Carlos Sainz is one of the drivers that's impressed me most on the grid this season, definitely.
Yeah, I have to agree with you when you say that Carlos Sainz has probably been the most impressive driver this season, because see, when he was at Renault last year, he was like, convincingly beaten by Hülkenberg, right? And for the career that he's had so far, Carlos Sainz, he's always been, I think, beaten by his teammate, right? If not convincingly, by a small margin, but he has not really stood out in a team. And him coming into the season, we were kind of, at least I was, I don't know about you, but I was kind of dicey about the pairing, because you had one guy who was convincingly beaten last year by his teammate, and you have another rookie. So how would the team, gel up, and how would the team, give out performances, especially considering where McLaren were at the end of 2018? But the way that they have turned things around, and the way that Sainz has gone about things, I think it really deserves a lot of credit. And yeah, he deserves that 7th place. And I think it's a given now that he will finish, if everything goes according to plan. I would bet on him finishing P6 in the driver's standings.
Yeah, I think you're right there. And yeah, I agree with you. The way I kind of saw that move was, he's not done amazingly at Renault. I thought, it's a kind of I thought it was a bit of a step down, to be honest. A struggling McLaren team, not the best. Probably somewhere that Carlos Sainz's reputation wasn't at its highest. Been beaten by Hülkenberg, scraped a few points competitions for Renault. Kind of go to McLaren where there's not much expectation on him. I thought he was one of those drivers who kind of looked promising early in their career and never quite made it. But you see the resurgence he's made. And I'm sure now, looking at the Red Bull driver program, what they'd give to have Carlos Sainz back now, if they could put him in that second Red Bull right now. Really, really impressive stuff from him.
Yeah, exactly. Red Bull would be regretting not having Carlos Sainz anymore in their program. But that brings us to the end of part 2. So we will be back with part 3 as soon as possible, and we will be discussing, as is evident by now, we will be discussing the top 6 guys, well, the top 5 and Pierre Gasly, to be honest with you. So yeah, we'll be back with part 3 soon, and that is the end of part 2.